Hello, my name is Jonathan Laura, and this is my video for my Express app, where I utilize CRUD and all its functionalities. My index page would usually be a login form, or it would ask the user to log in or register, but I couldn't get auth working, and I'm going to talk about that later. But for now, I'm just going to show all my CRUD functionalities working. My app is an expense tracker, so it tracks people's expenses. I fairly think that that would be a good reason why users should come to my site. Originally, I wanted to use an API or use auth for my project, but I couldn't think of a good project proposal in time that utilizes an API, so I wanted to use auth for my expense trackers. Like, you have to be a user in order to log in your expenses, because every time you log in, it would show that user's expenses, and I can show you that in my schema and how that ties together later. But let me show you my functionalities working. So this is RR. This is dummy data of transactions. You can see all the transactions here. If I wanted to see only one transaction, I can see that. Oh, sorry, I deleted that transaction. So if I wanted to see one transaction that's already there, there it is. I can edit the transaction. I can also delete the transaction. I'll show you that how it looks here. Um, it's gone. So I can read the data, I can create data, I can edit it or update it, and I can delete it. So that's all my CRUD functionalities. Into my code. Now, I didn't have an issue with this project. My workflow was pretty consistent and just a clear path on how I started from scratch. So I connected my database to pgpromise and I exported that, and I began with my model functions. Now, models is just where I'm just query selecting data from my database, and then from there I set up a route. I went ahead and did one route at a time all the way to the end, all the way through views, and I ended at views. And then when I made sure that that whole entire one function, one route, one controller function, and then one views uh, worked, then I moved on to the next one. So after I got that set up, then I went into my controller. I did a one function at a time as well. I like how I implemented async functions. For me, it's easy and clear to read, and it just looks prettier. My server.js is my regular Express boilerplate. I brought in all my dependencies needed, and that's about it for now. So auth. So I couldn't get auth working because every time a user would try to register, it would say unable to register, or at least I made it say that it was unable to register. But if I show you my auth controller, so my register function, it would take the salt number, whatever. It would take the salt number. Uh, it would hash the inputted password, and then right here would this object is what is the username that the user inputted, and the password that they inputted. So I'm getting an object with the right information, and I console log just to make sure that I was getting the right information. But I couldn't store that object into my database, and to be exact, into my users table, which let me show you here. So I have three tables, and these are all one-to-many. So one user can have many transactions, but each transaction can only belong to one user. And then same with here, categories. One transaction can have only one category, but categories can belong to many transactions. And this is how I was going to display. I was going to track everybody's transactions by user by referencing them through their ID, but I didn't get to that. So I I didn't know what was going on here in my register function. The, I had the correct data, and I tried using a debugger and reading user in this line, and it said that user was undefined, and it didn't know what user was anymore. When literally just a line above it, it was the correct object that I wanted it to be. So I didn't know, and that's where I was stuck at basically.